Hi. I'll take a breath. As you can hear from my voice, I'm a wee bit croaky. I have a cough and a cold, so I have water here. If I start spluttering, please forgive me. I hopefully won't have to blow my nose and interrupt proceedings for that, but I have my water there to hand. Look, I'm delighted to be here standing in front of you. Let me start with a question. If you could raise your hand if this is the first conference you've been to. Oh, good. I'm not alone. Is it as overwhelming and exciting in equal measure for you guys as it is for me? Because it's a formidable conference, I have to say. There's so much energy and networking and honesty that goes into it that is just really phenomenal. It's so impressive. And I have to really start by saying a huge well done and thank you to the Standing Conference Committee, to the PSI team. I think Lisa was sitting there and she's just scooted off. She obviously knew I was going to call her out and say well done. She preferred to be there. But a huge thank you to the PSI team who've been phenomenal in kind of helping me get settled in. I'm 5 months in the row now. And also to Council, and to Aaron has been brilliantly helpful, and Anne has been hugely supportive. So a massive thank you, Anne. But also all council members and committee members. I mean, 4,500 members, loads of committees and groups. It's really hard to get round to everybody, but hopefully this time next year I'll be standing here and I will know far more of you than I do currently. That's certainly my plan. So look, for today, really what I want to do is take you through an overview of the 2024 to 2026 strategy. I'm hoping I'm not using too many marketing terms. It's as my background, but Lord knows you have enough acronyms to keep me on my toes, so I'm getting a bit of revenge. But it's hopefully will give you a taste for what I'm trying to do. And what myself and the team and talking with council and committees about, the strategy, this is an overview of it. There will be tweaks and changes. There's a huge amount of detail that goes and levels and layers that go underneath it, but hopefully it will give you that flavour. So we start with the vision. And I like to see the vision as being this cathedral thinking type of approach. So what's the long-term end goal? It's not meant to be for next year or the next 3 years, the next 10 years. It's meant to be that big cathedral kind of aspect. So why was PSI formed? What is the ultimate end goal? And really what we're looking for is a society that appreciates the psychological well-being of all, but also that's a macro level. On a micro level as an organisation, what we want is the vision for PSI is to have an engaged, diverse, well-supported psychological community. So that's 4 key words in that one: engaged, diverse, well-supported, which is the administration role that we do, and community. And these are things that we'll keep referring back to as we go. So that's the vision. So if the vision is a society that appreciates psychological well-being of all, what's the mission? What needs to happen to achieve that vision? So the first thing, if we want to have a society that appreciates psychological well-being, then we need to elevate the understanding, the appreciation and the usage of psychology as a benefit to Irish society, much of which I think echoes what Aaron was saying. And if we want to deliver an engaged and diverse and well-supported community, then we need to support and to represent members, and that's all members. And when I say all members, I mean particularly both current and future. And I suppose from my own point of view and background, I've worked in different sectors and industries where that future piece is really important, because that's what makes it a sustainable organisation and a sustainable profession. So a shout out to, and I'm not sure if I can see them here, but I don't know about you guys, I am hugely impressed by the SAG group, the Student Affairs group, and the volunteers that we have, and the quiz and time. Oh yes, there is one there. Thank you, Ger. So I think Rebecca and Oshina there in the back. So a massive thank you and well done to you. You guys are really, really important. And I've promised to give you time and space over the coming kind of months and year, as the team will. So just a very quick well done to you guys. So the next slide is values. Values are what guides us. It's what keeps us on the straight and narrow, what keeps us honest and focused, so to speak. So diversity inclusion is something that I know Aaron has mentioned. It's talked about a lot. It's really important that it's not just lip service. It's not this trendy trope that we all use, because every company, every bank, every retailer is talking diversity and inclusion. So we really need to live and breathe that value. Integrity is key, is absolutely key. And I should add, when I say integrity, I also mean trust, and I also mean evidence-based. I'm very conscious that evidence-based is one of those long-standing values that everybody, particularly in the health space and psychologists, go, where is the evidence? We need to speak to the evidence. I almost take it as a given that that's what it should be, but we need to call that out. So the integrity, the evidence base, and trust. And I suppose, again, as the marketing person, every year there's research and surveys that come out on trust. Who do the public trust? And it is that wonderful concept that is really hard to earn and is lost in a heartbeat. And we need to really engender it and prove it and earn it and keep earning it. So that integrity piece to me is absolutely crucial. And the work that we do needs to speak to that. We also need to be rights-based. And this is a thing that I suppose has struck me in the last 5 months. It's a phrase and a term that we're using again and again and again. It's just the everyday vernacular. And yes, there is a SIG that's specifically around human rights, but it seeps its way into so many conversations and narratives and messages and content that we're producing that it's really important that we keep that front and centre. Oh, gone back. Also front and centre is the membership, because we are a membership organisation. There are 4,500, or just under 4,500. If Marianne is here, I'm sure she'll correct me, but it's close enough to 4,500. That's a huge number. So we are here because of you. PSI exists because of you. So we have to be member-centred. So I know at the AGM, and I know in some of the pieces I've done for IP and for the e-zine, I keep saying we want to hear you, we want to have conversations. That membership piece is really, really important, and that needs to be there. And respect. Respect being the final one. Small word, really, really important. And that's mutual respect. And it's reciprocal respect. So what do we need to do to deliver the mission? So if we want a society that appreciates the psychological well-being of all, that has an engaged and diverse and well-supported psychological community, what do we need to do? So I've pulled out just 5 key strategic objectives here. First one being inform and uphold high standards. So we need to set a bar, a high bar, and that standard sets the expectation. And that expectation is what we expect of each other, what all our stakeholders expect of us, so those being other health stakeholders, political stakeholders, and the public and the people that we serve. So that expectation is what builds that trust that I referred to earlier. And that supports psychology and our credibility and our reputation, and also that aspirational piece of wanting to pull people, wanting those really good graduates and individuals into this space. So we need to set and uphold that really high bar. We also need to advocate for diversity and inclusion. And as I say, not some trendy trope, not some lip service. We need to champion diversity and inclusion in Irish society. And that's in Irish society, but also for ourselves. So, you know, looking around the room and to the comments Aaron has made and other comments in various kind of sessions today. And to nurture also that next generation of psychologists. This is where I come back to you guys and say we need an active and engaged membership. So it's that reciprocal relationship. Successful membership bodies are living, breathing entities. So it needs to work both ways. It's a symbiotic relationship that we have. We need each other, we need to pull together, we need to work together. That's about us listening and hearing, and you guys speaking and engaging and participating. And I hope Aaron hasn't done a bad job of saying, no, don't join, because there's so much time that goes into it. There is a huge amount of time and effort that goes into it. But if you want something done, you ask a busy person. So I would certainly encourage and urge you, if you are not already a member of a group, get involved. Use your voice, have your say, feed it back and let us know what's going on and how we can help. So participation is really, really important. Fourth strategic objective is to expand PSI and psychology's sphere of influence and profile. So this is about having a profile and contributing to the important national conversations that we're having. It's also about providing leadership and thought leadership and injecting psychology and that human-centred aspect into so many of these conversations. And it's about being proactive in that space, which we absolutely will be going forward. And it's about maintaining a sustainable organisation, which is kind of the housekeeping bit, but it's from an organisational point of view. We are a small team of 10. We need to work efficiently, effectively. How can we kind of make sure there's no fat into the system? How can we really produce and engage what you require and what you need, and how we can be fit for purpose in all our systems and our team and our capacity and everything that goes with it. So if we manage to do all these things over 3 years, just saying, setting the expectations myself. If we manage to do all these things, what are the outcomes? What does success look like? What will indicate success? And these are kind of some of the KPIs, some of the measurements that I want to be able to feed back in a year's time and say, yeah, we're progressing on all of these. So it's things like we should have a really positive and a high profile and reputation. What does that look like? It could be media coverage, it could be inclusion in discussions, in consultations, in panels. It's about involvement. It's about psychologists and psychology having a space. We also need meaningful growth. Our membership figures, we've already grown exponentially. I think it's something like roughly about 10% year on year, but about 50% in the last 4 years. Overall, if you look at 2019 figures versus figures to date, 4,500 members is huge, but we want more. We want that meaningful growth. And we also want to be an aspiration. So we want people to aspire, new members to aspire to join. So those who are outside the fold to come into the fold and to have those conversations. So students, graduates, events, groups, we want to be an aspirational organisation. We need active engagement, and that's where the numbers come in as well. Also, we have a survey, which I know I said before I was hoping to get out before conference. Unfortunately, just with workloads, that wasn't possible, but there is a membership survey coming, and I would urge you, please feedback on that. So we'll have those kind of outcomes from that to look at. We've partnerships and alliances. We're already engaging with multiple organisations. There's loads more we can engage with, so formal and informal. It's strength in numbers. It's about being part of that large ecosystem that exists in society, in the health space, in the mental health space as well. It's about good governance. Love good governance. It's compliance. It's, holding ourselves accountable, being transparent, being measurable. And efficient administration, as I say, are two things. The two jobs PSI has is to administer and to advocate, and to do both efficiently and effectively as possible. And it's about having robust financial and HR resources, which are transparent and accountable and visible to all. So the thing about it, I suppose, a strategy and a 3-year strategy and the area of psychology, there is so much we could do, we want to do, you could argue we should do, but we need to prioritise. And a cohesive strategy really has a prioritisation of key themes. So I'm going to throw 5 themes out here, and I'm not suggesting that going forward over the next 3 years we will address all of them. We may prioritise down to 3, but these are the 5 that are on our radar at the moment, and many of which I don't think will come as a surprise. The thing about these key themes is that they have to be prevalent issues at the moment, they have to be growing, and they have to be ones to which we can make a meaningful contribution. So first suggestion up, with no surprises really, is diversity and inclusion. So it's ensuring that Irish society doesn't sideline any constituency, especially the most vulnerable, and that we as a professional body and community don't exclude anybody either, as per, all the previous kind of comments. Another theme is psychological well-being as a human right. And this is about the pursuit of parity of mental health with physical health, which includes advocating for funding, as PSI has done over the years. And it's also obviously linked to diversity and inclusion, supporting people to know, claim and access their rights. We then have psychology's role regarding the determinants of population health. And this is about promoting population health and addressing the determinants through partnerships, through leadership, through coalitions, pursuing multiple and varied stakeholder coalitions and engagement, which could be at an international level, as per some of the previous comments and the work that's happening there, and also at a national level. And that international work really gives us leverage for our national work. So it's very important in that regard. More than a nod to the new president-elect is the climate crisis and psychology's role in it. I attended some of the sessions, and it was great to see so many people and clearly so much interest and appetite. And this is an area where I feel that psychology and psychologists can really contribute to the public discourse and to policy. So both are informed by the evidence. We also need to communicate how psychology can reduce eco-anxiety, and especially amongst the most vulnerable, which is what we keep circling back to. And the fifth one may be an outlier, and I'd be really interested to hear anybody's views on this. And this is about psychology's role in the future of AI and that digitalisation of health. And we haven't really spoken much about it. And I was struck when I went to the APA conference in DC, and they talked a lot about this. Not necessarily very granular or something I could grasp and bring back, but it was on the radar. And I think with the conversations that are going on around AI and the lack of psychology's input into it and where is the human in all of this, I think there's a very strong and important role that we can play. Now, I'm putting this up there, therefore, as something that I think is absolutely worth looking at as a theme, but I'm open to suggestions and ideas and input for sure. So they are just to kind of give you a whistle-stop tour of the kind of plan strategy that we're looking at, the themes that we're approaching, the priorities that we have. There is a huge amount that we can do, I think, at PSI. There's a big task to be done, but, you know, slow and steady is the ship, and we need to kind of do things in stages, in time. And what I would really, really encourage is that active participation piece, as I said. So look, I would like to end there with a big thank you. Thank you to you all for the kind of warm welcome that I've got, but also thank you as psychologists and as the community that you are, because be it personally for myself, for my family, for my friends, I have directly and indirectly benefited from psychological wisdom over the years. And so that's a very personal thank you to you all for that. So I will end it there.